Heading into this past offseason, it looked like the Clippers had finally thrown in the towel. Paul George walked away for nothing, and all signs pointed to a team that was on the verge of a complete reset. The roster was leaning heavily on aging, injury-prone stars like James Harden and Kawhi Leonard, two names that once struck fear in the league, but now came with more questions than confidence. To be honest, I didn't blame anyone for writing them off. I did too. Let's look at what they had: Harden, Kawhi, Norman Powell, Ivica Zubac. That's fine. But in a brutally competitive Western Conference, it looked like a play-in team at best. And that's if everything went right. If Norman Powell somehow outperformed Paul George, if Zubac played like an All-NBA big, if Ty Lue could pull another defensive masterpiece out of this lineup, and if Harden not only stayed healthy but took on a heavier load while Kawhi slowly worked his way back from yet another injury. And that's a huge if, because Kawhi Leonard was coming off a summer where he had been sent home from Team USA due to health concerns. The guy hadn't been able to finish a postseason in years. Betting on him to return to All-NBA form felt more like wishful thinking than a real possibility. Unless every one of those ifs hit, and let's be real, when does that ever happen? There was simply no reason to take the Clippers seriously. But that was then. Now, here we are, and I can't believe it either. The Clippers are genuinely frightening again. It was supposed to be the same old story: an injured Kawhi, a questionable roster, and too many what-ifs. But something unexpected happened. Kawhi Leonard started playing like an All-NBA star again. The numbers don't lie. The Clippers are 23-11 in the games Kawhi has played this season. That winning record would be good enough for the second-best record in the entire Western Conference if projected over the whole season. It's shocking. What's even crazier is their home court dominance. The Clippers have turned their home into a fortress, with a 28-11 record at Staples Center. That's the kind of home advantage that makes them a real threat come playoff time. Beyond just Kawhi's return, the entire team has found its rhythm. James Harden, though not the MVP he once was, has embraced his role as the primary facilitator. He's not perfect, but he's a fantastic leader for an offense that's clicking in ways we didn't expect. Ty Lue's coaching has been key as well. He might be one of the most underrated coaches in the league. Under his guidance, the Clippers have become a defensive juggernaut, long, deep, and hard to score against. But the game changer, the moment that shifted everything, was Kawhi's performance towards the end of the season. He looks like the Kawhi we saw in 2019, getting to his mid-range shots, hitting jumpers, and even making trips to the free throw line. He looks like he's playing at full health for the first time in years, and I'm still trying to wrap my head around how that's possible. After years of setbacks, injuries, and doubts, watching Kawhi return to form, especially after he withdrew from Team USA in the summer, feels nothing short of miraculous. He's playing in back-to-backs now, something I never thought I'd see again considering his injury history. And this version of Kawhi changes the entire outlook for the Clippers. As exciting as the Clippers' resurgence has been, there's a dark cloud hanging over them. While we can all agree that Kawhi Leonard's return has elevated this team, the Clippers still face an uphill battle. Despite looking like one of the strongest teams in the West when Kawhi is on the court, their fate is far from guaranteed. The biggest question mark remains their health. This team has been through so much already: Kawhi's repeated injuries, Paul George's departure, and the uncertainty with Harden. It's hard to shake the feeling that the Clippers are on borrowed time. Kawhi may be playing at an elite level again, but how long can that last? He's shown that he can be unstoppable, but his body has failed him in critical moments before. The Clippers' playoff history is full of injuries and disappointments that leave fans holding their breath every time a key player steps onto the floor. The irony here is that the Clippers could very well find themselves fighting for a play-in spot, despite their incredible potential. With the way the Western Conference is shaping up, there's a very real possibility that they won't be in the top tier of seeds. That means they could be looking at a tough matchup in the first round. The Oklahoma City Thunder might not scare many teams on paper, but they could pose a real problem in the postseason. Imagine this scenario. The Clippers, after an impressive regular season, end up in the 8th seed, and in the first round, they're staring down the Thunder, led by young stars like Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. For the Clippers, that's a nightmare. OKC, despite its lack of playoff experience, is hungry. A matchup with them could prove a real test of how far the Clippers can go, given how stacked their team is on paper. But if the Clippers falter, the doubts will creep back in. Can they handle the pressure? Will Kawhi's health hold up? Will Harden stay consistent, or will injuries derail their run again? But the real concern here isn't just avoiding the play-in, it's the Clippers' track record in the postseason. How many times have we seen this team fall short when expectations were high? From the 2020 bubble collapse to previous seasons filled with frustration, it's hard to ignore the reality that Clippers fans have been burned before. They've built their hopes up, only for injuries or lackluster performances to crush them in the end. Even if the Clippers manage to avoid the play-in and enter the postseason as a higher seed, their health issues are still a looming threat. Kawhi's injury history, especially in the playoffs, is a major red flag. In 2021, he led the team to the Western Conference Finals, but was ultimately sidelined with a torn ACL, missing the entirety of the next season. In 2023, he came back, only to tear his meniscus in the playoffs. That's a history of bad luck that just can't be ignored. Each time it seems like the Clippers are about to break through, something goes wrong. But despite all of this, there's a sense of possibility that's hard to shake. When Kawhi is healthy, there are very few teams in the league that can match his level of play. And with Ty Lue at the helm, they have one of the best tacticians in the game, capable of adjusting on the fly. If Harden continues to play a solid facilitating role and Norm Powell maintains his high level of play, the Clippers could still pull off a few surprises in the postseason. The depth they have, from Zubac to Terrence Mann, gives them the flexibility to adjust and adapt. The point is, the Clippers' window is wide open, but it's precariously close to slamming shut. With Kawhi's health hanging in the balance and Harden's role still developing, they're playing on a razor's edge. The upside is undeniable, but as we've seen in years past, everything can fall apart when you least expect it. And here's the twist. While the Clippers' future looks promising when Kawhi is healthy, that promise could be a house of cards. Every time Kawhi steps on the floor, you're reminded of his injury history. Every back-to-back game he plays feels like a gamble. Will he hold up through the postseason grind, or will the injury bug bite again? It's that constant uncertainty that makes being a Clippers fan such a roller coaster. The potential is there, but there's always the fear that something will derail it. So, as much as we might want to believe in a deep Clippers postseason run, we've learned to expect the unexpected, and that often means disappointment. As good as they look now, Clippers basketball always feels like it's teetering on the edge of greatness and collapse. In the end, maybe that's the Clippers' curse. They've always had the potential, but they've never been able to fully deliver. Will this season be different? Maybe. But I wouldn't bet on it.